business coaching mentorship, where we just specifically coach builders and traders in both the UK and Australia. We basically show them how to grow businesses up to about $10 million. The thing is, with business and life is so intertwined. So I think if you really want to grow a business, learn how to master leverage. Yeah, take control and change your life for the better.
You've managed to scale multi-million pound and multi-million dollar businesses yourself, and also kept your family time sacred, Greg. What practical habits or boundaries made that possible?
Well, this is always a hard thing to answer, and let me just answer it really honestly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to The Business Game,
a podcast that moves the needle. You know, Steve, I've been thinking, if I could clone myself, I'd finally get through my inbox.
Yeah, that's true. Or you could just call Taylor Offshore, right? They basically do that, but better.
True. They match businesses with top-tier remote talent, customer service, admin, even SaaS development.
Yep, scale your team, cut your costs, and Kalena, keep your sanity.
And their people feel like part of your own team, just without the extra desks.
Yeah, exactly, right? Head to tayloroffshore.com to get your new superstar team member onboarded in just a week. Thanks to Taylor Offshore for supporting The Business Game. Hello and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm Steve Plummer.
And I'm Kalena Stano.
Now, before we get started today, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Today, we're joined by Greg Wilkes of Develop Coaching. Hi, Greg. How are you going?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Steve and Kalena. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. You're more than welcome. All right. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Develop Coaching?
Yeah, sure. So Greg Wilkes, I'm 44 years old now. Develop Coaching, we started about 4 years ago. So it's a business coaching mentorship where we just specifically coach builders and traders in both the UK and Australia. We basically show them how to grow businesses up to about $10 million. That's our niche.
All right, fantastic. Let's dive into it. So, Greg, you've built multiple successful companies and you've written a best-selling book about it. Let's rewind a little bit. What was your upbringing like, and how do you think it shaped and drove the mindset that you now have today?
Yeah, so I grew up in just a working class family. My dad was a bricklayer and my mum worked part-time. She worked in a hospital. So there was no silver spoon in my mouth for sure. It was very much a working class, hard-working family. And I think really I probably learned a lot of my values from my dad, mainly because he was such a hard worker. You know, he'd really do a hard day's graft, as we'd say. And he was very conscious on delivering value for people. So he'd, put in a hard day and that he felt would be his value add to his clients. And probably the other thing I learned from them as well is that he was a real provider for his family. Very much, a family man, and wanted to provide and work hard for that. So I probably learned from my parents really that, if you want something, you've got to work for it. It's not going to be given to you, and you've got to work hard for it, and you save up for it, and then you can buy it and enjoy it. So that upbringing was great for me. It taught me, really discipline, hard work, being a good provider. I think they're the main lessons I learned as I was growing up.
And Greg, looking back over your career so far, do you have any key moments that have really shaped the type of leader that you are now? Yeah,
so it feels like I've had a few transitions throughout my career. I've managed to scale multiple seven-figure businesses. So we've had a lot of wins, huge wins across the board, and also wrote a best-selling book on Amazon. So that was a great standout moment. But I think the things that actually shaped me as an entrepreneur and as a leader weren't the wins. The defining moments were the losses and the things that went wrong. Because I've had some real big knockdowns. I've lost big contracts. I've had staff members steal off me and do all sorts of stuff. And probably the worst thing was a business collapsing, a business that I'd spent years and years building. Got to £5 million with that business, and then it collapsed. So that was really, really tough, and it forced me as a leader and as an entrepreneur just to really take a hard look at myself and think, why did this happen? What did I do wrong? It's very easy at the time to blame everyone else and look at the circumstances that led to it. But I remember at the time, when my business collapsed, I was feeling really sort of sorry for myself and down in the dumps. And I was out having a few pints with one of my mates. And I remember expressing to him, I said, look, I don't know, actually, have I just been really lucky in life so far? I don't know if I've actually got it, have I got this ability to run a really successful business or not? And he just sort of sat me down and snapped me out of it. And he said, look, Greg, if you keep talking like this is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You need to do some work on your mindset. And he just reminded me of what I'd achieved up until that point. He said, no, look at what you have actually done. I know the business collapsed, but look where you did get to. And that made me realize I had to do two things. One, I had to come back and just work on my mindset specifically, really analyze, what did I want out of life? Why was I tying my identity to success in this business? There was a lot going on internally there. And really just taking stock of the wins I'd had along the way. I think that was really important. So that I've applied for clients as well, because we get this a lot with clients where they come in and they've got like this imposter syndrome, yes. Or they lack confidence. And we see this quite a lot. And sometimes you actually just need to remind people of actually just step back and look what you've actually achieved so far. You've actually, probably done quite well. So really, I think those experiences that shaped me into the person I am as the leader I am today. I'm very much people focused, very much mindset focused, and system driven as a leader. And I think all of that's come from the painful experience that I had.
Yeah. And you started your first business at 18, is that right? Yeah, that's
actually earlier than that.
Oh.
But yeah, 18 was when my first construction business. But I actually started my first business at 14.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
First, it was a window cleaning round. Car washing before that, then a window cleaning round when I was riding a bike.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you've obviously got that spirit to just jump in and say yes. So what is it that gives you that confidence to just go for things?
Yeah, so I think when you're young, you don't care.
Yeah.
You've got no responsibilities.
Not much to lose.
It's just, yeah, exactly. You just thought, go for it. And obviously my dad had his own business. So I think that really shaped me, actually, starting the business. I think the real one was the window cleaning round. What it made me realize is that you can actually create something from nothing. And there's something really powerful about that, about going to, having no business at all. You go to the printers and get some business cards printed. You go and spend, at the time, wherever it was, £20 on a little ad in the local newspaper. And then you've got to convince a stranger to give you money and trust you. And then you've got to deliver the service and get paid for it. And, at like 15 years old, I was earning a fortune. I was going out every night after school. And I remember back then I bought myself a PlayStation, like a Sony PlayStation, I think it was like 2 weeks out of my own money. So that really taught me that you can do it yourself. You can actually create something quite special yourself if you back yourself for it. So they were really great lessons. And I think back then as well, I just had hunger, like real hunger back then. I just wanted I thought I was going to take over the world and be this multi-millionaire window cleaner, and just sort of went for it. Just really went for it. So those early years probably taught me that just go for it, back yourself and do it. But they also taught me it's a lot about discipline. You had to get out and do it when you didn't want to. I had to still go out and clean those windows when it was cold and wet and things like that. So it taught you discipline and consistency. With the window cleaning, I had to go every single month without fail. Someone would, go and get someone else. So yeah, it's amazing that just a small business that you can set up as a 15-year-old can actually shape and give you lessons, right the way through your business life.
Yeah.
Greg, you mentioned at the start that your biggest lessons have come from those hard times. So thinking back to those hard times, and it may come from the collapse of the business. How did those lessons or those failures, if you like, how did they change the way you operate moving forward?
Well, I think the biggest lesson I learned was the business collapsed because I scaled way too fast. That was the big problem. So we'd created this machine that had to generate, at the time we were having to generate like £400,000 or £500,000 in revenue every single month just to pay the bills. And we'd outpaced what we were bringing in. So we were scaling. First of all, we were scaling really, really fast. All our overheads started scaling up quickly. We were bringing on people left, right and center. And then all of a sudden, just a slight turn in the economy, and then a few people that owed us some money, and a few different things happened. I realised I'd actually scaled this way too quick. I hadn't put enough in place to cope with it. So now when I scale businesses, we really look at, first of all, you've got to get the right people on board. It's absolutely crucial, and the right systems. And you've got to grow it sustainably. Don't be so obsessed with growth that you outpace your people and your systems. And that was probably the biggest mistake I made. And so now that's changed the way I operate for all my businesses now. We grow them, and we grow them fast, but not so fast that we outpace, everything else that we've got going on.
Yeah. And I guess that story too, it puts you in a very, I don't know, authentic or powerful position with the people you coach and work with, because you talk from, I guess, bitter experience of this is what can happen. Do you find that's very beneficial for your clients?
Yeah, 100%. I think no one phones me or books a call in with me because business is going really well.
Yeah.
No one hires a business coach when everything's great. People are coming to you because they're either they've either just collapsed and they're starting again, or they're about to face a collapse themselves and need to restructure, or something's going wrong along the way. So yeah, I think those experiences, have without a doubt, maybe a little bit more approachable to people because they've just seen that I've been there and done it and experienced the pain that they might currently be going through.
Yeah.
And just on that, with that point for you when you had to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch again, what were some of the things that you implemented that created an immediate sort of positive change that you used?
Yeah. So few things that we did. I had to, again, I've spoken about before, I had to change my mindset. So I really had to start thinking like a CEO and what I really wanted in life. And interestingly enough, we spoke about identity earlier, and that was something I was struggling with. And I had to really think about my identity and why was I so obsessed with growing so quick as a business person? What did I actually, did I really want that in life? Did I really want to, grow a huge business again, or did I want something else? So that was probably the mindset shift. Actually understand, what do you want to build when you're starting out? That's probably key. And then I really just started looking at the numbers in the business and just managing my dashboards and really understanding how quickly I could grow and what things I could put in place that's going to sustain that growth. So once you understand your numbers, you know that actually, I can't, I'm not going to be able to grow that fast because actually I haven't got the pipeline of work that's going to be able to sustain that. I haven't got enough staff that can deliver this project. So I think just rather than just being obsessed with growth, just understand the numbers fully. So they were probably a couple of things that I did.
Yeah. And just falling in love with the process. Sounds like you really like to bring things from nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you've got to fall in love with, because in the end, when you go through a terrible time like that, you just hate business and you're not enjoying life. And the thing is, with business and life is so intertwined. You've got to get them together, because if your business is rubbish, your life's probably a bit rubbish as well. So you've got to understand, why are you doing this, and can you build a business that you enjoy, and it's got to fit around your lifestyle. If it doesn't, if those things aren't intertwined, there's going to be conflict somewhere.
When you're in that, you had to reset the mind shift, and you were talking about redefining like what success and why you were sort of chasing this growth and bigness. Did you end up landing on what success looked like for you? How does that look for you?
Yeah. So it's funny, isn't it, sometimes, because I think you read all these books like, Simon Sinek, Find Your Why, and things like that. And it's sometimes I've really battled with those concepts, because you think, why am I doing this? And they'll come up with this grand thing of, because you want to change everyone's lives and you want to do this or that. And they come up with these great purposes, and you think, okay, that sounds great on paper. But if I was being really honest, and that's what you have to be when you go through these things, you think, why am I building this? I just wanted a great life for myself and my family. That's where it starts. Ultimately, I think for most of us, I just wanted to be really happy in myself, and I wanted to provide the best for my family, give them the best experiences and holidays, and I just wanted to be a great dad. And I think you have to start from there. Well, I did personally. That was where I start from, and then over time that changes. So once you've built that for yourself and you think, actually, yeah, I've got a pretty good life now, or I'm, happy with with the way things are going, then like for me now I'm coaching, it now extends out to my clients. I want them to build great lives for themselves and for their families. So your purpose gradually changes over time. But yeah, I think you've got to understand why you're doing it. And for me, it started off as a selfish reason, and then, it changes as you go.
Yeah, just learning those values and what they are to you and being honest, like you said, about what they are and not like what you think they should be. Because I think that's something we all get caught up in, especially if you read those self-development books. You go, oh, well, I want to be the person that changes the world. They're all lovely things, but if they're not honest to you, they're never going to really work out, or you're not going to be willing to slug it out for 10 years to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly that. And where it's hard and where you have to marry that is because you need your employees to buy into your vision as well. So it's difficult because when you've got a vision for yourself and you think, I want to make my life great and have a great life for my family. How do your employees don't buy into that?
Yeah.
Help me build this for me.
I want a swimming pool, right? I want a swimming pool. Yeah.
Everyone bring a shovel. No.
Exactly. So it gets a real challenge then, because then you do have to just adapt it slightly and think, well, how do I get my employees to buy into this? And I think ultimately it is just around what I said. At the business that I'm building, I want my employees to have great lives as well. So how do I make their lives easy with the business I'm building? How can I put certain systems in place? How can I be more flexible so that they can take a Friday afternoon off or whatever it is? So I think if you do that along the way, everyone's happy and you can build a great business.
I'm really interested to talk about the industry that you've chosen. Obviously, it's your background, but the construction industry is very niche and it's got a very particular culture. I actually worked in the industry myself, so I've got my own answers to this question. But what do you think the best and worst parts of that culture are right now?
I think I love the construction industry. I think probably the thing I love the most is I love the people. I just think salt of the earth. Yeah, they're just real salt of the earth people. They're hardworking, resilient people. I just like working with builders and trades, and I just think you can have a bit of banter and a bit of a laugh, and it's great. So there's the positives in the industry. The best part, without doubt, is the people that are in it. So I actually tried to get out of construction for a bit. I went when I was. I can't remember how old I was, about 17 or something. I actually went to work for a recruitment company in London City, and I lasted 3 months in this office environment because I just thought, and it come down to they're not my people. It just wasn't the same sort of thing. So it wasn't the same laugh that we have on a site. So so that's the best part, the people, without doubt. I think the biggest challenge though is also with the people, because they can be really resistant to change. And the industry can be a little bit of a dinosaur sometimes. It can just be so slow to embrace new technology and new things that are coming. I mean, I think we're starting to see that change a little bit now with AI. But what can happen is many who fall into the building industry, they've done it maybe because they haven't done so well at school. Especially in the UK, probably more than Australia. In fact, Australia, trades are viewed quite highly and very well paid. So that they're sort of put more on a pedestal, I think, in Australia, trades, which I think is awesome, but not so much in the UK. It's more like, I've not done very well with my grades, so I'll just get a trade because I'm not very academic. So because of that, sometimes that seeps into people's mindset, and they always think, well, I'm not not a great learner. I'm not very good at tech. I'm not going to, maybe be able to build this business. I'm not a businessman at heart. So that's the downside to the industry, is also the people and their mindset, because some of them struggle to get over that and really embrace the change that's needed to be able to keep up with what's happening at the moment now. And we've got to embrace that change. We can't accept that I'm not very techie.
You've got to lean in.
You've got to lean in, because you're going to get left behind with what's coming with AI. It's moving so fast.
Yes.
So fast.
If you don't embrace it, you're going to get left behind. I remember at one of the last conferences I did, we did a seminar about the story of Blockbuster Video. I don't know, did you have Blockbuster Video in Australia? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the story with Blockbuster was that, they thought they were invincible, Blockbuster, at the time. And they got approached in a meeting by Netflix, and Netflix come in and said, would you like to buy us out? It was something like 50 million they wanted for it, $50 million. And Blockbuster just laughed them out of the room and said, look, we don't need you. We don't need an online presence. Off you go. Next thing you know, Blockbuster is bust. They've gone. And Netflix, is worth like 500 billion or something. And it's all about, you've got to see the change coming. Blockbuster did not see that change coming, and they were completely wiped out. And builders now, you need to really open your eyes to what's happening in this industry. And if you can embrace tech and you can embrace AI and start putting little systems in place, don't bury your head in the sand. If you embrace it, you're really going to make a difference, and if you don't, you're going to get left behind with the builders that do embrace it.
Testing, 1, 2, hello.
Are we on?
Are we on? Hello.
Hey folks, let's take a quick pause to talk about our friends at HubSpot. If you've ever felt like running marketing, sales and customer service all at once is, a little chaotic, HubSpot is here to change that.
It's an all-in-one CRM platform that actually works the way you think. From generating leads to automating follow-ups to helping your team stay aligned. Personally, I love how the automation tools handle the busy work so you can focus on the bigger strategy.
And here's the best part. You can start your HubSpot journey for free using the link in the description. And while you're at it, you're helping to support this podcast.
HubSpot isn't just a tool. It's like having a full team in one platform, helping you grow your business faster and smarter.
Alrighty, it's back to today's episode. Everyone says, it's such a cliche, got to work on the business, not in the business. Yet that step for tradies stepping away off the tools to start running the business is the biggest step. So what advice have you got for, and maybe leaning on some examples from your experience, some processes to help you do that? Because, is it just a case of cold turkey, or should you gently do that? Because it's a classic block for builders who want to grow.
Yeah, it's the number one block for sure. I think you've got to, again, start slow. If you're a tradie that's on the tools 5 days a week, you can't just go cold turkey and say, right, I'm never doing that anymore. So set yourself a goal. Say, right, I want to get off the tools fully in the next 6 months. I've always encouraged, everyone to start, just take a day off a week initially, and really start thinking about like, how are you going to use that day? So use it to maybe systemize things, or the first thing you got to do, to be honest, is you got to chase more work. If you're going to come off the tools, you need more work to be able to hire someone else that can then deliver your work. So really look at, analyze where you're spending your time. And I think the next thing that then happens is you take a day off, and then you start filling your time with mundane tasks. So they'll start doing, they'll be on Xero and they'll be doing reconciling on Xero, or they'll on like their accounting software, or they'll be whatever it is, like real mundane stuff in the business. You need to realize that if you're only taking a day off a week, you need to maximize those 8 hours and be doing really high value tasks, pricing work, and trying to build the business and bring people on board. So do a little bit of a time audit, recognize where your time's going, and go and get yourself a VA or an admin worker that can do those mundane tasks for you, and really focus on how do I double the size of this business? What's the thing that I've got to do that? That's where you've got to start. So it takes time. You can't transition off the tools overnight, but I think easily someone could do it in 6 months, no problem. And if you don't, you'll cap your growth. You've got to realize that if you stay on the tools, you're going to hit a ceiling, and you'll never get past that ceiling until you move out of that area. So it's you either want to grow the business or you don't. Not everyone does, but
and I guess that's almost that identity piece as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It comes back to that. Am I a tradie who's just on the tools all the time, or is there something more for me?
Yeah, it's like shifting that belief around yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know this isn't popular, because some people that love working on the tools, they don't agree with this, but I always say it's, I think everyone should aim to come off the tools in time, because I think it affects your health big time. As a tradie, like, it's not good for your health. I've seen roofers that are walking around crippled now in their like 50s. They can't even, their knees are just completely gone. So it's not good for your health. It's not good for your wealth. There's only so much money you're going to be able to build if you're working on the tools. And then you've also got to think of like your long-term goals and your purpose. Like, what do you actually really want in life, and what do you want to build for your family? And I think not everyone, but a lot of people want to build something special, and the only way you can do that is by coming off the tools eventually. So you've got to understand that and embrace it. And if you really love the craft and you really love actually physically working, that's fine. But I would still say build your business, and then when you get the freedom, go and work on the tools if you still fancy it a day or two a week.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a nice
but build your
reframe,
freedom
nice flip.
first, so it's a choice.
Yeah. Love that flip, right? That's If you love it, then go and do it when you can. Yeah.
Not saying you can't, but
Yeah.
you'd be on your terms.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
So you've studied some of the greatest business minds on the planet. What are a few of the ideas or philosophies that have really changed how you approach leadership and growth?
I guess the mentors that I've had many mentors over the years, and then there's people that everyone has, like, people like Tony Robbins and that, but I've had personal mentors as well, like an Australian who lives in London now, Daniel Priestley, and an incredible entrepreneur that's built many businesses, Dan Martell, and now my coach at the moment, a guy called Taki Moore, who's based in Sydney, actually, incredible coach for coaches. They've been real interesting mentors and leaders for me. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned from everything I've read and from those people is probably leverage, learning how to embrace leverage as you grow a business. So you've got a few different ways of leveraging. You've obviously got software and systems that you can leverage. You can leverage people. So that's really important. If you're going to grow a business, you have to learn how to leverage people. And now more than ever, you've got to learn how to leverage AI. And in fact, you've got to get your people to learn how to leverage AI. So that worker then becomes worth 5 workers. So I think if you really want to grow a business, learn how to master leverage for one. That's really, really crucial. And the next thing is what we spoke about before. Learn to master your identity and actually understand who you are. And can you become a CEO rather than a tradesman? Can you actually view your identity as that? And if people are struggling with identity, look to those mentors like Tony Robbins and ones like that. They're absolutely awesome on how to really understand your identity. And then I think for my current coach at the moment, I've got a coach myself who's awesome and has probably coached some of the best coaches in the world, is Taki Moore. What I've learned from him is he calls it, I want you to create your lifestyle empire. So this guy, Taki Moore, he runs massive 8-figure coaching business. He's multi-millionaire, really, really shrewd guy, but he walks around no shoes, same scruffy top and shorts every day. He's like, he just doesn't care, loves his coffee. He never ever brags about what he's got. He's got a nice house and a nice car and whatever else. You never see him bragging about the material side, but all he's interested in is his lifestyle. He works 4 half days a week, got a really small team, and he's running this massively profitable 8-figure coaching business. So from him, I've learned that you don't have to sacrifice everything to grow. You can have both. You can have a great business and you can have a great lifestyle. If you want that lifestyle as a priority, then you can have it as well. So learn. I think it's great to have many mentors and you outgrow your mentors as well. I think you outgrow your coaches over time. But I love Tony Robbins at the beginning, and then all of a sudden you get a bit bored of him. You think, I've probably done all that now. Let me go on to someone else. And you think, and you just go through different ones. So at the moment, I haven't outgrown Taki Moore yet. He's still my current coach, but he's great.
Yeah. Well, you've managed to scale multi-million pound and multi-million dollar businesses yourself, and also kept your family time sacred, Greg. What practical habits or boundaries made that, I don't want to use the word balance because that's kind of not right, but made that possible, keeping the boundaries, keeping the family time sacred? Yeah.
Well, this is always a hard thing to answer. And let me just answer it really honestly, because I think it's always a battle. If you're like I am, I just love business. I absolutely love business and I love growing businesses. So there's always going to be a battle there. But at the same time, I love my family more than my business. So you've just got to get your priorities right. So when I was growing my construction company, there was hard and fast rules that I never ever worked weekends, and I didn't work on the evenings. And they were just, set priorities, and that just, it wasn't even a question of, oh, I've got to go in on a Saturday. There's plenty of things going wrong on a Saturday. Everyone else would work on Saturday if they wanted to, but there'd be something going wrong. But you just think, no, I'm not going in. That's not my day to do that today. That'll have to wait until Monday. Even if you lose money, you had to sort of set those boundaries. So that's how it started with the construction business. But funny enough, talk about not working evenings. Now I've moved to Australia, and all my clients, well, most of my clients are UK based.
Yes.
Now I have to work in the evenings. So it becomes a battle again. You think, well, how do I now balance that? So now it's, well, actually, I've got my mornings free. I take my son down the gym in the mornings, and we have a train together, and I can go out with my wife for brunch in the afternoon because that's free. So it's just a constant juggling act. I think if you're trying to grow a business, you're never going to get it perfectly right. And I wouldn't say I've got it perfectly right, but I live a pretty good life, and it's on my terms. And I think that there is a pretty decent balance there.
Yeah, and I do like the honesty of that as well. It's a constant battle, a constant juggle, and that you're never going to get it perfectly right. And I think being okay with the realism of that, I think is probably one of the keys to making that successful over the long term. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, without a doubt. You just got to keep adjusting, and also you need your family to buy into it, and they need to understand what you're trying to do here. So if you do have to take that phone call, you say, look, I can't take you to football tonight because actually I've got to work. They understand. They understand that you're doing this because you're helping us build a great life, and I wouldn't have that, and I wouldn't have this, and we wouldn't be able to go away on holiday next week if you weren't doing that. So I think if everyone's aligned around your goals, that's good. But at the same time, family is extremely important, and you don't want it to. I'm a big believer in that. Don't let it take over, because you'll soon regret it. The kids grow up fast.
Yes,
they do. Yes. Back to something you touched on earlier about you had a manager steal a contract from you, quite a large contract. I think it was about $350K, something like that. It was painful. Yeah, I imagine. I'm interested to know, how did you recover in terms of trust? You've talked a lot about mindset, so I understand that part. But in terms of trusting people again, obviously bringing someone into your circle, building, you've sold them the dream and they want to help build it, and then they take it from you. How do you recover from that?
Yeah, it was a funny one, actually, because this guy that we brought on board, I actually read a book before I hired him. And the book said, stop hiring people that are the same as you. Because what happens is when we're hiring people as leaders, you get someone in for an interview and you think, oh, I like this guy, he's great, but you like him, but probably because he's the same as you. He's got the same personality. So the book said, that's going to really limit you as you grow a business, like hire people that are different. So I thought, okay, that makes sense. So anyway, this guy come in for the interview, and he was just so eccentric. He was just wasn't the right fit at all. But he sounded like a genius, like as I'm talking to him. I thought he'd worked for Multiplex, like huge construction company. And I thought, this could be great. And I hired him, and then I realised that there was a fine line between a genius and an absolute lunatic. And unfortunately, he was the lunatic. And the first thing he did was approach a client and basically coach them how to get out of our contract. So he spotted through the loopholes in our contract and said, look, I can show you how to get out of this, and I'll deliver the project for you. Lost this. The project was actually worth $500,000. We ended up losing that contract, taking a client to court. Was in a legal dispute with this guy as well. It was awful time. But the problem is, that was a one-off. I've hired lots of people, and I haven't always got it right when I've hired people. Some people have come on and not lasted, but overall, when I look at all the people I've hired, I've had some great people that have worked for me. And I think what you have to do is, when you get a bad egg like that, one, get them out of the business, because they'll spoil it for everyone. But two, realize that not everyone's like that. It's just, you've just been unlucky. Take the lessons from it. You've got to learn to trust, because if you don't trust, you can't grow a business and you can't let go. So I think you have to trust. If you don't, you're not going anywhere. So that was a very, very painful experience, but another good one. It went in the book, and it was a story to tell.
So just on the lessons out of that, Greg, then in terms of hiring staff, if we just focus on that for a moment, what were the learnings from that? What, as in before that, I know you mentioned the book and hire someone different to you, but beyond that, what have you learned about bringing people on board since then?
Firstly, make sure that, well, funny enough, now I use anyone I'm bringing on board now, I use AI very, very heavily for anyone we bring on board. So what we do is not only do we get AI to write the job description to match our values and our culture as a business. So that's one thing, like make sure you're going out for the right people. But when we get the CVs back, AI is analysing all the CVs. Does it match what we're after? And then when we're doing the interview, we get AI to come up with the interview questions, and then based on their CV, and then we get AI to transcribe the meeting and then analyse everything they've said in that meeting to see whether it matches all the way through. Does it match their CV? Did it match our original job description? All of that. So the good thing about that is, if you're doing that, sometimes when you're in the interview and you're thinking on your feet and you're trying to ask questions, you miss things and you miss what they've said, and it's very hard to cross-reference. Were they telling the truth here when actually they're at the time they weren't even working for that business? It doesn't make sense.
No one lying on your CV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the first lesson I'd say. Use AI as a helper to come in and just actually analyze what's going on. The other thing, I think the other big lesson is probably make sure you're hiring for culture fit. They might not be the right personality for you, they might not, match your personality exactly, but make sure they fit the culture of the business and they've got the values of the business at heart. I think that's probably a big thing to do. And then when you do bring on people on board, one thing we're really, really strong on is make sure you have a proper onboarding process. So that the problem we had with this guy is we just threw him straight into this contract, said, right, he started on the Monday and said, right, here's the job you're going to be looking after. What we should have done was just slowed it right down and had a proper onboarding process to test him out. So we call it a 30, 60, 90 day onboarding process. So every 30 days you're analysing, you get their job description and you split it into tasks. You say, I want you to be competent in these tasks by 30 days, these tasks by 60 days, and these by 90. And then every 30 days you're having a meeting with them, an appraisal. So, right, how did you get on the first 30 days? What are you struggling with? This is how we're rating you. We think you've hit that, but you haven't hit that. So if you've got a strong onboarding process, you're going to weed out people very, very quickly. And at the same time, if they are the right fit, you can get them up to full speed very, very quickly too. So yeah, they're probably the lessons I'd apply going forward.
I know we've talked a lot about mindset, but I just want to touch base on this for some of our entrepreneurial listeners who might be stuck or feeling a bit overworked, overwhelmed, losing motivation, all those things. What would you say is the first mindset shift that you'd recommend that they make?
First, just recognize that you're the owner of the business. You're the captain of your ship. So you decide the direction of how you want it to go. So if you're stuck, you're driving this. So you've got the way out of it, and you're in complete control of how you can turn this around. And I just think the first thing is what we touched on earlier. I encourage people to take a bit of time out, like have that half day off, or a day for yourself. Like I only work 4 days a week. On a Friday, I go and play golf. And in the mornings, I go and have a bit of breakfast. And the reason I do that is I want time for myself to just let my brain relax a little bit. And all of a sudden what happens is when I'm sitting there having a coffee or a bit of breakfast on my own, you just get all these creative ideas and you think, oh yeah, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or yeah, this is the direction I want to go in. So you need time to like replenish and rejuvenate. So for any business owner that's stuck, like I would take half a day off, go down the beach, take a notebook with you and just think for a little bit, like what do you want? What do you want to create really for your life and your business? Because you're in control of it. You can do it. And there's plenty of resources out there online, and there's coaches and whatever else you want to do. You've got AI that can even help you now. Take control and change your life for the better.
Greg, what about your business? What are your goals for the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, so we want to become the number one coaching business in the UK, first of all. So at the moment, we've got one business who's currently above us, who are really, really strong. We want to be the number one. We believe that we've got an amazing community around us already, but we can take that to the next level. So we're doing that by building out a ton of AI systems in our business, but then we're building out tools for our clients as well that they could potentially have that's going to transform their businesses. So I think when we do that, that's going to make their life a lot easier. So that's number one. Obviously, we want to have a much bigger impact here in Australia too. So, we've got a few clients over here now. We want to build up our case studies over here. And then eventually, probably will be in, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 years, we'll start in the US and give that a go over there. But for now, still got Australia and the UK to crack. and we just want to have a real positive impact. On one of our planning days, I said that, I'd love to have an impact for 10,000 builders and change their lives around the world. That's probably our short-term goal. So if we can do that and change 10,000 builders' lives, that would be incredible. And I think there's nothing that makes me feel better than we've got like a little WhatsApp group for all the wins. And when you get a win in the group and it'll say something like, I'm taking my kids to Disney. We haven't had a holiday for 3 years and, I can now afford it and I can take the time off and I'm comfortable the business is going to run without me. It just really warms my heart because I think, that's what I'd want for myself. And when you see it happening for them, it's great. So that's the goal. If we can do that for 10,000 builders, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. So about what you do, what does it look like when a client comes to you? Like, can you give us a helicopter view of, in the first 60 days, we'll do this, 90 days? What does that look like?
Yeah. So there are 5 key areas we focus on. So the first thing is plan. So we come up with a proper business plan for them of like a financial plan. What are your financial targets? What do you need to earn a year? How do we get there? So we plan everything out. We then show them how to attract their ideal clients to the business. So everyone can grow businesses, but you can work for the wrong clients and it'll make your life miserable. So how do we actually find the clients that you really want? So attraction is key. So that's all about their marketing. We then show you how to convert quickly, get clients over the line so they're paying based on value rather than price. We then show them how to deliver, get all their delivery systems in place, both on-site and their office systems. And then we show them how to scale, how to hire the right people and get the right software and stuff in place. So 5 big pillars: plan, attract, convert, deliver, and scale. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. So in the first 3 months, we'd be doing a lot of planning and then we'd tackle whatever their biggest need was. So for some people, it might not be attraction. They might have loads of work, but they might be struggling with delivery. So we'd dive down into whatever they particularly need. But most clients are with us for about 3 years. And in 3 years, like we generally take businesses on that are, let's talk in dollars, Aussie dollars, that are around 1 or 2 million Aussie dollars, and we'll take them to 10 million. And that might take us 3-4 years potentially to get them to that level. And then we used to just stop there. Once we got to that point, we used to stop and say, right, we've done it, off you go. But we had a number of clients say to us, well, actually, Greg, like what's after this? Like, where do we go from here? So we've actually just launched a couple of months ago our new boardroom program, where now we're showing you how to get beyond 10 million and how we can create an exit, how we can get wealth generation strategies through using property and stuff like that. So that's quite exciting. So now, we used to let people go, but now we can really see them through the journey into something quite special. And I've got businesses that are under me that are probably building better businesses than I originally had now, which is great. So it's awesome.
Well, that's great, though, because that's your job done, right? If they're outstripping you, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
more power to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I just hope they don't leave me because they've outgrown me.
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying seeing the changes we're making. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories that, like a particular story of a client success that stands out for you?
Yeah, we've got there's lots, like there's a number that we've managed to 10x, which is great. But I think one of the best ones, not so much from a monetary side, but he was a guy who was approaching retirement, and his business had got into a bit of trouble, and he'd always made great money in his businesses, but then it got into trouble, and he had to put a load of money on his personal mortgage to get these jobs finished. And now he was approaching 60 years old, had a mortgage that he paid off years before, and now he'd loaded his mortgage up again. And he approached me and said, Greg, look, I've got like 3 years that I just want to be doing this for. And I want to make as much money as I can, get that mortgage paid off. And he was able to do that. So that it was really exciting to see him do that. But what was more impressive of him, I think in his first year, he made £350,000 to $700,000 profit that he was able to take, which was, more than enough to do what he put on his mortgage. And what was awesome was he's put a note into the group saying that he hadn't been on holiday for a while. He went and got a yacht out over in the Bahamas, and all he had was a satellite phone, and he was doing sailing around the Bahamas with a satellite phone. Couldn't run his business because he only had a satellite phone, and his business run without him. And he come back and, he hadn't fallen apart anyway. So that was great. That was just a real nice story of someone who'd made the money and created a bit of freedom for themselves as well as they approach retirement, which is all he wanted, which is happy about.
It's almost the ultimate flex, isn't it? Sailing around the Bahamas just with a satellite phone, Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's it.
Greg, I just want to touch on a business tension that I think many people face, and I'd love to get your view on this. And I'll frame this in terms of a either-or type question, and it kind of on the surface seems very obvious, but I also don't think it is. So would you rather have a $10 million business that runs without you, or a $20 million business that burns you out?
Yeah. So, well, the obvious question is obviously for me is that you want freedom over money. So you're going to pick number one. But then if I had a $10 million business that run without me, I'd create another $10 million business to get into 20 million. So I think the problem as an entrepreneur and a business owner is when you've got that hunger, that's never gone. So, I'm in my mid 40s now, but the hunger I had at 15 when I was doing that window cleaning has not gone at all. I'm still just as hungry for growth and new opportunities. So initially that question, a $20 million business, I'll probably say, look, I want the 20 million, but I would make sure that I was building systems and whatever else. I'm not going to be burnt out. And if I had a $10 million business that gave me all that time, then I'll be using that time to build another business is the reality because I enjoy it. I love it.
I just want to touch on that though, just because I feel this might sound a little bit silly, so excuse me, but I've been thinking a lot about it. And you mentioned it because I've said it to myself, to friends about how beautiful entrepreneurship is that you get to create something from nothing. It was in my mind and then it came to reality. And this is the part that sounds silly, but it's like being an entrepreneur is almost like being an artist, and you're which sounds silly, but it's like you can't just do one painting and be done. It's like, oh no, I want to see what else I can do. I want to push myself to these other edges of discomfort so that my comfort zone goes outwards, so that I can continue to prove myself like that I can do these things and create this thing from nothing. Anyway, I just thought I'd touch on 100%. That because I really loved that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I think what you get with most entrepreneurs is that they've generally got this growth mindset where they always want to grow. And that'll either be business growth or they want to grow themselves personally. That's why, they might be reading a lot of self-help books or business development books, because you're continually obsessed with being better and growing and changing. So I don't think you're ever going to stop doing that. And maybe, at some point when you're completely financially free, that goal might change. It might not necessarily be a business, but you're still going to grow in some way. You might be contributing in another way, but you're still going to go for some sort of growth. Otherwise, if you stop, what have you got to go for if you stop everything? There's only so many pina coladas you can drink on the beach. But no, I think I'll just keep going.
All right, Greg, we're almost out of time. We do have a fun little way to finish most of our sessions. So we call it the Fast Five. So I'm going to read out 5 questions to you and get you to answer as fast as you can in 3 or 5 words. And so we'll just go through them really, really quick. You ready to go?
Okay.
All right, here we go. What was your first job?
Car washing.
Okay, one thing you couldn't live without?
My wine.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone, definitely.
Okay, early riser or night owl?
Early riser.
All right, and what was the last book you read?
I haven't read a book for a long time. I'm obsessed with podcasts at the moment. Probably Let's Go Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell.
All right, fantastic. All right, Greg, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Just to finish up, Kalena, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Oh, no.
What's a takeaway for you from Greg's session today?
Well, I think I kind of touched on it. I probably should have saved it for this,
artist.
But really leaning into falling in love with the process and remembering why you started in the first place, especially when you're sitting in that space of not failure, but you're stuck in, I did the thing, I put myself out there, and now what? And really going back into that mindset shift and allowing yourself that space and time to really reflect on why, and then pull your boots up and get back to it, which, I really took a lot from that. So thank you.
I think for me, it was the piece around the identity and getting your identity right and aligning your life to that. So, Greg, last question. Where can people find you and learn more about Develop Coaching?
Yeah, so good place to start is grab a copy of my book. It's called Building Your Future. It's on Amazon if you like the hard copy, or on Audible. Or if you want a free digital copy, we give them away for free on my website, which is developcoaching.com.au.
That's all we've got time for today, folks. Wherever you're listening from, thanks for joining us here on The Business Game. We'll see you next time. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes.
For more insights, strategies, and stories to help move the needle on your business, we'll meet you back here on Thursday.
Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game.
If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, Tyler Offshore, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game,
A podcast that moves the needle.